Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Marvel 1/6 scale figure unboxing and retro review. Today we are taking a look at none other than Daredevil, based off his appearance in the Netflix series also called Daredevil. Now I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They do have installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon and join button for more info on Justin's Collection Plus, the channel membership. As for the box art, it's super classy. It's all red because, of course it is, it's Daredevil, a massive image of the figure front and center, his name down below, and once again in Braille. This is actual Braille, you can feel it, then of course a Hot Toys logo down below. On the side of the box, Daredevil and Daredevil in Braille. On the back, all of the warnings and legal info. We also have the New York City skyline and a massive blood splatter. Yeah, if Hot Toys were to redo Daredevil, because of course he is appearing in She-Hulk, I don't think we'd see any blood nowadays. Now, this figure I have owned in the past. He's been in my collection for quite some time, but I decided, yeah, now's the time to pick another one up for a potential future custom. Stay tuned to the channel for more info on that. As for Daredevil himself, yeah, he looks really good. What we are going to do now, though, is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first, it comes in two pieces. The main section is rectangular. Up front, Daredevil etched into a stunning metal nameplate with another New York City skyline. Up top, this kind of tarmac-style flooring, it's textured. It's a 2D print, but it looks really good. There are multiple glossy sections that actually look wet and shiny. Up top, you have a regular crotch grabber. Now, around the back, you have this modular piece right here. Now, on camera, it's kind of difficult to wrangle, but in the display, it looks like this. Now, the back section is a separate piece, and you can separate it from this piece as well. Now, up top, we have kind of a brick wall that has been smashed, a couple of shards of what I'm pretty sure are supposed to be glass, some broken pipes, and a sewer. Now, in and of itself, this is pretty boring, but when you pair it with the display base, trust me, in the display it looks awesome. The paint applications are just okay. Back in the day, the sculpt of these diorama pieces were kind of soft and rubbery, and the detail wasn't super sharp, but overall, yeah, I still really like this. You can imagine Hot Toys trying to recreate the sticks in 1/6 scale, having them separate and combine and having the wire in between. Yeah, far too difficult. Hot Toys have given you 3 different options for Daredevil sticks. The combined version, there's a textured grip, the silver sections are suitably shiny and metallic. But of course, in the show, they separate as well. I'm pretty sure you all saw this segue coming from a mile away, but yeah, here we have the separate ones. One is longer than the other, because in the show they would combine, and they don't split evenly down the middle, so they don't here in 1/6 scale either. Now, these can holster on his outfit, and you will see that a little bit later. Then, of course, we have the third version, kind of like a massive set of nunchucks, and yeah, that's a real metal wire. It would have been cool if the wire was posable, so you could have him kind of throwing it at enemies in the display, but unfortunately, it isn't. This is kind of just there for posing. Maybe he wants to hold onto them like this, but as it stands, yeah, the wire just kind of wants to do its own thing. We also get an interchangeable mouth plate. There's not really a ton of point looking at it here and now, so don't worry, we will switch it out onto the figure, and y'all can let me know which is your favourite a little bit later. Lastly, we do get some hands, but unfortunately, not a ton of them. We get some gripping hands for the sticks. They are all fully gloved. I do like the honeycomb texture, and they're well painted. The red sections are a deep, rich red. The black is matte black, and there's a super subtle amount of weathering and dry brushing on the surface. What we are going to do now, though, is get Daredevil himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. back in the day, a lot of people were passing on this figure. I understood why. He was in the Netflix universe, which was kind of, but also not really a part of the MCU. They referenced it, but never really crossed over. We didn't know if we were ever going to see Charlie Cox again in this suit. But it's happening. The suit has a bit of a repaint, but for the most part, it's the same exact suit as this figure is wearing. Now, let's talk about the figure itself. The proportions, I think, are good, but not perfect. Some people back in the day did some body mods, they added some beef here and there, and fixed up the traps because they're kind of sloping down just a little. But for the most part, he looks real. He looks like a dude in a suit shrunk down to 1/6 scale. Fully seamless, there are no real joints exposed here, and the fabric looks accurate to the series, and is suitably sturdy. That doesn't mean he's perfect though, there's still a little bit of stuff we need to discuss. Up close and personal, starting off with the head sculpt first, the big question is, does it look like Charlie Cox? To me, yeah, absolutely. I can see the likeness from pretty much every angle, the skin texture is well painted, and the 5 o'clock shadow isn't just painted, it's fully sculpted. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. Overall, it's a really good head sculpt. Now the mask is made of 2 different pieces. Up top, you've got the red section with a ton of this black line work and detailing. The eyes are translucent red. Unfortunately, no. There aren't any actual eyes behind the lenses, but from a distance, yeah, it's not a huge deal. It still looks really good. The bottom part of the mask is also fully sculpted. In the show, it would be fabric. It's textured nicely and it's painted in matte black. See what I did there? Matte Black, Matt Murdock, I'm so sorry, I had to. Now this faceplate is a little bit angrier. You can see his exposed teeth, which are a separate piece inside the mouth. So no Paul Rudd Ant-Man sculpt here, this one looks incredible. The skin texture is still really good, but this time you've got some blood dripping down from the cowl, his mouth and his nose. It's suitably wet and glossy looking. This mouth plate, even though it kind of just swaps out underneath the helmet, yeah, you otherwise wouldn't be able to tell. It looks almost entirely seamless. That's pretty much how I describe the outfit too. It looks entirely seamless, but it isn't. The shirt is a separate piece, which should allow for a little bit more range of motion. I do like the fact that some people have said this is supposed to be a throwback to the DD, the Daredevil logo. If that's true, that's a really cheeky Easter egg by the suit designers. I love it. You also have multiple little silver rivets and some armor plating in the form of these rubbery overlays. All of these black pieces, rubbery overlays, they're a little bit thicker, and of course the same thing can be said for the red pieces, they're just a little bit thicker. The red base layer of fabric is all this rubbery material that's fully padded. The best part about that though, no pleather. You can go crazy with your posing. This is a relatively old figure. I've had mine in a variety of poses and still to this day, no cracking, no creasing, no issues. The red fabric is a little bit different to the black fabric. This is a little bit thinner, but it's still padded underneath. You can feel it, it's not coming across on camera, but trust me, in person, you'll know what I mean. Now, for the gauntlets, they're a small piece, but they are free floating, which means, yeah, the hand moves separately, and you can slide it up and down and cover up the wrist pegs when you get a little bit more dynamic with your posing. The pants, if that's indeed what you want to call them, are made of the same fabric as the upper torso, meaning once again, no pleather. I love the red, it's got some texture to it, a little bit of shine, whereas the black sections are a nice matte finish. You do have some panel lines and some seams, then some knee pads which are separate pieces. One thing I don't love though is how they kind of buckle just a little. Now when you bend the knees, yeah, it's perfectly fine. But when you have him standing straight up and down, there is excess fabric, it looks a little ugly. You also have the holsters on one side for his sticks. This is a fixed piece, and yes, you can remove the sticks, but they sit in there super securely. You do have this pinstripe line that goes along the front, the buckles are fully painted, and there's a little bit of dry brushing around the edges for the holster itself. Coming down to the boots, oh yes, a split cut boot design. It's kind of weird to see this full superhero suit than these kind of normal military style boots. They look good though, they look like padded material, but they're not, they're all sculpted. There's a ton more dry brushing, and of course, even some weathering underneath, plus fully sculpted treads. For a quick side-by-side comparison, here's something that, fingers crossed, we'll actually get to see in the MCU, Daredevil and Spidey. Now I've gone with the upgraded suit Spidey, because black and red, yeah, they look really good together. They complement each other nicely. Spidey is a little bit shorter, which makes sense because Matt Murdock is an adult, whereas Peter Parker is a high schooler. Next up, here we have the So-So Toys Hero Lawyer 1.0. We will redo this comparison when the 2.0 gets here, but he's a really nice complementary piece. He's the same height, he's roughly the same build, the likeness is absolutely there. Overall, yeah, I'm a huge fan of having these civilian versions of my heroes alongside my heroes in the display. And I'm glad that So-So Toys picked up the slack, because even though we saw Matt Murdock in No Way Home, Hot Toys, it seems, weren't interested in making him. If you own the So-So Toys Hero Lawyer and you're thinking, I wonder if that head sculpt works on the Hot Toys body, well, yes, it does. And I reckon it looks really good. It's not perfect. In certain poses, the neck can look a little long, but for the most part, yeah. If you have a spare So-So Toys Hero Lawyer and you don't mind stealing the head sculpt and popping it on the Hot Toys body, it's compatible, and I reckon it absolutely works. Going over articulation, do bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be just a little bit more careful. Starting off with the head sculpt, it's on a fixed neck with a ball joint at the bottom. Looking forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go up to there and kind of spring back down thanks to the rubbery suit. Going forward and back on ratchets, butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow that does get you past 90, and of course a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. The torso does crunch forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The legs go forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee that does get you past 90, and of course a split cut boot design with a double ball peg down here for the ankle. Wrapping up on the Hot Toys Netflix series Daredevil. Going into this, yeah, I knew exactly what to expect. I've owned this figure for quite some time. But in saying that, I was still really excited I get to re-experience this figure entirely, from unboxing to posing. That's why I love these retro reviews. It gives me an opportunity to put a spotlight on an older figure that maybe deserves an updated video, because I'm not super happy with my first review, but yeah, this figure, fingers crossed, was done justice in this one. Now, in saying that, he's not perfect. His proportions are kind of a bit weird. If Hot Toys were to tackle him nowadays, I reckon the body would be a lot better. The outfit is kinda restrictive and a little bit rubbery, so you do have to be slightly more careful. And for whatever reason, he doesn't come with an unmasked head sculpt. I'm not exactly sure why, because Hot Toys would have had to pay for the likeness rights of Charlie Cox's lower jaw anyway, but they decided, oh no, it's not worth doing a head sculpt, we'll do that another time. But then they never, I guess, got around to it. I would have loved to have seen one here, but yeah, you don't get one. In saying all of that, do I still recommend him if you're a fan of the series? Oh yes, I do. This guy can pose a treat. He comes with more than enough accessories in my opinion, and if you have the So-So Toys Hero Lawyer, that head sculpt looks really good on this body. Now, like I said in the intro, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below. They do have installment plans and a points-based reward system. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.